everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited to be here. Dropped myself in a little bit with that AI stuff though, didn't I? In this session, we're going to be exploring how we can all mitigate overload and achieve more by doing less. So let's get started. Now, let me know if you think different, but I feel like the more senior we get, the busier we become. It's almost as if every time you move up that grade, the pile of tasks and meetings that need juggling effectively doubles. And a lot of these can feel a bit monotonous or uninspiring, like organizing weekly meetings or managing releases. And when these sorts of things take up a lot of our time, then very quickly the days can start feeling 3 times as long and half as enjoyable. We end up simultaneously feeling overloaded, but also just lulled by more of the same day to day. On the other side of that equation, though, are some of the more junior members of our teams. Talented and eager for more responsibility and exposure, but so often struggling to get a glimpse of all the cool stuff that's going on. But what is that cool stuff anyway? Well, it depends, because our favorite answer in the tech community, it depends. Cool is relative. It varies from person to person and throughout time. What you thought might have been cool to work on as a junior dev is probably miles apart from the cool stuff that you're seeking today. Just take a look at this slide. To an experienced dev, all these things are going to seem a little bit not motivating, but to junior Dom, they absolutely were super, super cool. Not only that, each one helped to shape my career in a certain way. If you think just about running meetings, that taught me all about organization, prioritization, how to politely tell someone when things are getting derailed, how to articulate yourself well so that technical and non-technical stakeholders alike understand what you're trying to get across. These are all super important skills. So this really gave me an opportunity to level up, to move through my career. Not only that, it made me feel super empowered. And I genuinely think that the feeling of empowerment is the best gift that you can give your team. But what is empowerment? Well, Google defines it as the process of becoming more confident, especially in controlling one's life. I personally don't know about the life part. But what I do know is that when you show us that you trust us with new tasks that hold genuine value, we feel way more confident and in control of our careers. And who doesn't want that, right? So, all of this to say, what's just become your day-to-day could actually be someone else's next career milestone, or at the very least, an interesting new challenge. By sharing the stuff that no longer inspires you personally, not only are you mitigating your own overload, creating more space for the stuff that you do enjoy, but also supporting someone else's development. Isn't that quite awesome? So here comes the million-dollar question. How do we make it happen? How do we create more time for our own cool stuff? I think a great first step is to ask yourself, what is taking up a lot of my time, but not really giving me much joy? Next, have a think about, why am I doing this? And a bit of a spice warning with this one, the answers to this question can make you feel a bit uncomfortable, but that is actually a really, really good sign, so try and embrace that feeling. And those answers, they tend to fall into roughly 3 categories. The first one is, I don't know, that's just how it's always been. And you would not believe how many things are just done because someone at some point decided to do something one way and it forever stayed like that. They say if it's not broken, don't fix it, but I feel like I should at least question it, right? I mean, just because an EM 5 years ago decided to attend his team's refinements, does that really mean that it's still relevant today? Or that it was a good idea to start with? So don't get trapped in the past. Ask yourself, where am I really, really needed? And what can I give away? This is my cheeky adaptation of the convey matrix, which if you're not familiar with, do check it out. It's really, really interesting. It basically tries to help us manage our workload by grouping things in terms of their urgency to the business and how cool we personally find them to do. Ideally, we want to be spending most of our time in that top row, so doing the things that we really, really do enjoy. Things that are quite urgent to the business, but not so cool to us personally anymore. These are great things to delegate, especially to those team members who are really, really eager for more responsibility, those ones that are ready for the next career step. Things like load testing or managing releases and pipelines could really nicely fall into this bucket or quadrant. The neighboring category is sort of the same scenario, but slightly less urgent to the business. These things are also great for delegation, especially today's team members who are maybe eager for responsibility, but without the pressure of big deadlines or huge leaps in that responsibility. Representing your team in free amigos sessions or writing documentation, these are all really important things that could fit into this bucket. Allows us to develop, but without that pressure of the deadlines. And this bucket is actually the one that I found really interesting, which I didn't expect to, because less urgent and less cool, right? But it was quite interesting because it made me realize something. And that something was that when we switch between roles, it's not really clean cut. A lot of the time when we go to move on to a new role, we kind of bring some of the tasks that we used to do in our old role with us, creating a sort of comfort zone day to day. Essentially, sometimes we end up doing the things that we don't really need to do. We choose to do them anyway. Which brings me on to the second category. Sometimes we do things because we're really good at them. And being busy with things we're good at means we don't have to go out and try the things that we're not so good at. And that can be super comforting. The thing is, none of us got here by staying comfortable. Being uncomfortable was probably where your most career-defining moments came from. Being uncomfortable, not knowing what to do, not even knowing how to approach a problem. So if you find that you have a lot of this comfort stuff day to day, have a think about if you can give some of it away. You never know what you could unlock. The third category is all about protection. Sometimes we do these things because we don't want to overwhelm our team with the additional work or complexity. And whilst that is incredibly thoughtful, it can so easily backfire on us because, at the end of the day, like we said, our teams are just made up of other humans who are looking for their own new cool challenges, right? Not giving them the option of these is effectively sticking them in the box and unintentionally creating an impression of hierarchy where only certain levels can do certain tasks. In the long run, this not only worsens the overload, but kind of creates just a weird dynamic. I personally think that great teams are made of a mix of collaboration, shared knowledge, and a sense of belonging. And sharing the load supports us in all of these areas. If you literally take only one thing away from today, well, from this session anyway, I would love for it to be just how much you and your teams can flourish by simply making that more time for the cool stuff. Cool. So now that we know what and how to share, time for the third and final step. And that is doing the cool stuff, whatever that personally means to you. If any part of this session spoke to you, I challenge you to make it reality. On your way home this evening, have a think about what is your cool, what do you really, really enjoy, what drives you? And over the next 2 days, consider how you can make more space for it. Have a look at your calendar, your to-do list, draw out the matrix if you want to, and start giving that stuff away. By this time next week, you would have successfully made more time for cool stuff. And when you do, please let me know because I would love to hear all about it. That is all from me. Thank you.